All right, so hey everybody, who's not here? I'm Gretchen, and this is my co-founder John, and we just wanted to quickly go over what the Hour of Code is with you guys, so that if you have any questions or if you are not sure what's happening or if this is your first time, we can answer all of those questions for you. So we're just going to quickly go over everything that you would need to know if you wanted to do an hour of code with Kodable. And then we'll have questions probably somewhere in the middle and then at the end. All right, so I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about what the Hour of Code is and why it's important. So the Hour of Code is an event that was organized by Code.org and CS Ed Week as an opportunity to promote computer science to kids all around the world. They want to get as many kids as possible to try at least 1 hour of code. I'm sure that you all know the incredible demand for technical talent, people who understand programming, who can program, or who just can, use technology successfully. So that's the purpose of the Hour of Code, to get more kids aware of what computer science is and why it's important and how they can use it to make change in their communities and in their world. So it's during the second week of December every year to honor Grace Hopper, who was an incredible computer scientist. She invented the first compiler, which makes it possible for us to program using programming languages. She was also the first person to have a bug in her program, and that was because there was an actual moth in her computer. So she coined the term bug. So yeah, that's a little bit of fun, a fun thing to talk with students about. So I can share later the link to information about her. She's pretty awesome. She was an admiral in the U.S. Navy. So if you're going to be using Kodable, then it's important to get prepared. So I'm going to go over a little bit about everything you should do to prepare for the Hour of Code. And this is in general. If you're using anything, it'll probably be helpful to deal with some of these things. And then we'll go over what to do during the Hour of Code, as the event's happening, what to expect. And then if you want to go beyond 1 hour with your students, if you're planning on doing more stuff with your kids later, next semester or even next school year, we'll go over some of the stuff that you can do with Kodable there too. So here's the link real quick to Grace Hopper. Should be able to see it on the side of your screen. Okay, show item. All right, great. So first we'll go over Kodable. So Kodable is a programming curriculum for elementary schools. And this year we're doing something we've never done before. We're providing lesson plans to everybody, grade-specific lesson plans for the Hour of Code for free. You do not need an account to use these. You do not need to pay to use these. They're completely free, predominantly unplugged. So there's a lot of unplugged options for you this year. So I'll go ahead and show you that real quickly. So you can see what they look like. So here are where you can find our lesson plans. It's kodable.com/hourofcode/lessons, and I'll share this link as well. But you can see we have K through 5 lesson plans available. It's all basically the same, but we've scaled it up, what concepts you're actually covering for each grade level. All of these lesson plans can be done in about an hour. So you can cut things out if you have a little bit less time, but that's building in time for some independent practice on the devices. So if you don't have devices, then you can automatically cut out 10 minutes. So it's pretty fun. It's a fun activity where you get the kids together and you talk about what a programmer is and why they're important and what they do. And we've given you a lot of that information here. And then you have to program someone in the room. Usually it's helpful if it's an adult because you can tell them ahead of time what they need to do, how they need to act as a robot. But the students program them to do something. So in this activity, it's to walk forward, turn around, and jump. and you have to program them to do this. And we give you some code in order to do it, and you talk with the students about why that code is important. And so it really builds up their understanding of what programming is. It gives them a nice real-world example, a tangible example, which is great for, I know a lot of you guys mentioned that you're doing this with kindergartners. It's great for, you know, pre-readers, kindergartners. It's nice for them to have like a tangible example of what they're going to be doing. And then after you're finished, you can check for understanding and have them go do a little bit of programming on their own on their devices. And like I said, there's lesson plans for kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. Each of them is slightly different. If you have kids who are pretty experienced with programming, if you guys have been doing this for a while, just jump up probably to the next grade level. You know best what's appropriate for your students. So just take a look at all of them and decide what you think your students can handle. If you're working with, some of you said you were working with middle school students, our fifth grade lesson plan is it covers quite a bit. So I think that this would easily scale up for sixth and seventh grade students. Once you're getting into 8th, 9th, 10th, you know, high school age, then I'm not so sure if you could do it. If it's their very first introduction, then yeah, I think that it would probably be appropriate. So Kodable is available on desktop, iPad, web, and Android. It works on Safari, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox. You have to have pretty new versions of these browsers in order for it to work correctly. You need OS X 1.8 or 10.8, sorry, 10.8 or higher, and Windows 7 or higher. And then for Android, it's 2.3, and iOS is 6.0 or higher. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the devices. And I'll go ahead and share the activities for you. I've got my, John was saying, I've got my Nice Watch outfit on. I'm going to be the Lord Commander. I'm going to be Jon Snow with my fur. Okay, so there's that link. Okay. Now, a few of you were asking questions about whether or not to set up a class, and if you think that would be, if we thought that would be necessary for you for the hour of code. It really depends on what you're trying to do afterward. So if you think that you are going to be doing a lot of coding after the hour of code, if you're planning on making this like a, you know, something that you do somewhat regularly at your school, then I would definitely recommend setting up a class. It's just going to make your life a whole lot easier afterward. I know that it's a little bit of work up front, but it's going to make things a whole lot easier for you. So what you need in order to do that is just a roster of all of your students. It takes just 2 or 3 minutes to set up one class. You can copy and paste from your roster. It's real simple. And then after that, all the kids need is that class code, and you can make it whatever you want. And they can log in using that class code. You can also, if you're using the web version, you can also bookmark that you have a unique URL. So that makes it really easy for the students to get logged in. I'll just show you really quickly how you get logged in with a class, and then how you would get logged in without a class. So for the hour of code, you're going to want to go to game.kodable.com, hour-of-code. If you are not using a class, you will play without saving. And that just automatically creates an anonymous user. The kids can play. There's like literally no setup. They can hit save and exit and get this student code, but you will have to write it down and enter it next time if you want to continue where you left off. If you want to play with a class code or student code, play with class code or student code, and then enter the class code. And this works the same on the iPad, except on the iPad you can save the class code so you don't have to enter it every time. Here we go. So you can see here are my students. You just they will tap their name on the iPad or Android, click their name if they're using the web version, and then they can continue. If you just hit the spaceship, it takes you directly to where you left off. So it makes it really nice if you're planning on doing any coding after the hour of code that, you know, if you come back after the holiday break and you're ready to get started, some of the kids won't remember exactly where they were. They can just hit play and they'll be saved. Like all their progress will be saved. You'll be able to view their progress on our dashboard. There's just a lot of extra benefits. If this is just a one-time thing, then I definitely recommend using just a local profile on your student devices, on the iPads or Android devices, or just using the Play Without Saving on the web version. It'll just be super simple for you. Yeah.
Can you go back to the class overview page?
Sure. This one?
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that you can actually bookmark that URL, thegame.kodable.com/class/famous-class. For your classes, instead of famous class, you'll see your class code there. But if you're working with younger kids in kindergarten, first grade, and they might have trouble typing in their class code, you can bookmark those URLs for the students, and then if you go there directly, you'll immediately get to their class roster, and they'll be able to click on their name.
So you can see there's my famous class now, and I can just come directly here. So yeah, that's super simple too if you're using a class code. Let's see here. All right. Oh, I also wanted to let you all know if you're planning on some things that you want to do, if you're getting prepared ahead of time. We have certificates also for students, so I'll share that link as well, so that when everybody finishes, you can just sign their name saying that they've completed an hour of code and that they have done an hour of programming. They're programmers now. It's a lot of fun. So I'll share a link to that as well. But yeah, that's a little bit about setting up a class versus not setting up a class. It's really your choice. We made it pretty easy to do either option. It's just a little bit more work if you want to do it ahead of time, but it will save you in the long run. If you want to not set up a class and then import students, you can do that. Like after, say you try this out and then later on you want to continue with it, you can have those student codes you write down and you can import them, but it gets a little bit tedious if you're doing, think about just doing that for 25 students. It would be kind of a pain, but yeah, saving you a little bit of time is doing a little bit of work up front. So I guess I'm gonna see if we've got any questions on Twitter. No, doesn't look like it. You guys can all also add questions on the side here. So if you have questions, okay. What is a quick way to bookmark when using iPads? So if you are gonna be using Kodable on an iPad, I would suggest, well, you have to download the app in order to use it. So then just go over with students before you get started what the icon looks like. It's the same as our Google Plus and YouTube and all of our social media icons. It's just a gold square with a blue fuzz on the front. Go over that with students, say, okay, what app are we gonna go to? We're gonna go to this one, this is Kodable. And that makes it really easy. They know exactly where to go on the iPad. If you do set up a class, then once you enter that class code one time, it'll be saved on the iPad. So you never have to enter it again. You go over what your class name is. You can make it whatever you want, so you can always make it something that the students will remember. They just tap on that and then they tap their name, very similar to what happens on the web version. And okay, got it. I selected this question. Now it's answered. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Valerie. If it doesn't, let me know. Okay. So if anybody else has questions, feel free to put them here. I'm happy to answer them. So let's go over a little bit of where to get the different versions of Kodable. So we have an hour of code page set up where you can find all of the stuff that I'm sharing here. I'll go ahead and share that. It's kodable.com/hour-of-code. And that has all of this. It has links to download everything. It has links to the web version. It has links to our unplugged activities. It has links to the certificate and to our lesson plans. So you can find everything that you need here. I'll go ahead and show it to you real quick. All right, so you can see. Our lesson plans page. All right, hour of code. So here's where kids can get started. I think it's probably easier for you, less distractions on this page if you just bookmark the page that we talked about, game.kodable.com. But you can also have them play here. It'll take them directly to it. And then this is where you can find the lesson plans, and here's where you can find where to download or set up everything. So we've got our PC version, Mac, web, iPad, Android, and unplugged. You can share Kodable, and then here's the link to the certificates to download for your students. And this is kodable.com/hour of code. I just shared it on the side here. So that's just about everything that you need in order to get set up. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on the side here. Okay, good, great. All right, so let's see, the day of. So one thing to consider if you're planning an hour of code for no matter what you're planning on using, whether it's Kodable, anything else, code.org, Lightbot, anything, I would definitely recommend having a plan B. So everybody's servers get hit pretty hard, everyone's servers get hit pretty hard, and so there might be a little bit of spotty service. Ours are set up in a way that it is very, very unlikely for you to see any issues with loading times or anything like that. We scale it pretty well, so I don't expect to have any trouble. If you're using the iPad version, the Android version, or the desktop version, that's irrelevant. There won't be any issues with internet connectivity there. And a few of you asked about saving progress on those versions. You actually don't need internet to use them. It'll just save eventually. Like the next time the device connects to the internet, it'll save their progress that way. So there's no need to have internet for those versions. For the web version, obviously, you have to have the internet. But yeah, there shouldn't be any trouble with our servers that week. But it's always important to have a plan B. So we have quite a few unplugged lesson plans available. We have the Fuzz Family Frenzy, which is a lot of fun. You have kids pick a partner. So after you go over like what a programmer is and you program someone at the front of the room together, then you can have them break up into pairs, and they have to program a partner to go through an obstacle course. Some people have used toilet paper to set up mazes in their gym, which is a really cool idea. People have just had them go from one end of the classroom to the other. Some people go out to the playground and have them hula hoop. It's just a lot of fun. You can use whatever resources you have available around you. But that's a really good resource, so I'll be sure to share that with you guys. It is right here. This is in our curriculum as well, so if you have Kodable, you have access to this on your teacher dashboard also. It's the Fuzz Family Frenzy. So this is a really good plan B if anything goes wrong, or say like one of your devices just decides not to work. That day that happens, just have a plan B, no matter what it is, even if it's not the Fuzz Family Frenzy. Have a plan B just in case things go awry, because that always happens. Something always comes up. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much it for being prepared. If anybody has questions, like I said, you can ask them on the side here or on Kodable, at Kodable on Twitter. So let's go over a little bit of what to expect. A lot of you said that this is your first time doing the Hour of Code. Not really sure what to expect. Well, it's a lot of fun. Just expect to have a lot of fun. Expect to get a lot of questions from your students about, you know, what a programmer is, and they'll be very interested in games. They'll think that that's like the only thing you can do to program. You can, you know, talk with them a little bit about some of the other things that we program. I always like to use the example of airplanes because a lot of people don't, or a lot of kids and some adults don't realize that there are computers in airplanes that help pilots fly. Just examples like that that are real things that they maybe might not make a connection to the fact that a person has to program it. That's just a nice way to help them see the broader appeal of programming. And then just, you know, expect for there to be some issues with technology. We all have issues with technology from time to time, so that's why it's important to have a plan B. And just have fun. It's a really exciting time. Be sure to read through everything ahead of time so that you feel confident and prepared. But really, there's not a lot that you need to do or need to worry about knowing ahead of time. It's a really good time to, you know, just explore and learn with your students. It's a lot of fun. I would suggest having an administrator or another teacher, anybody who you feel might be interested in programming or getting more coding at your school, have them come by and have them participate, because it'll really be nice to be able to talk with them about it later and see about, you know, how you can do more of these types of things at your school. And so if they see the engagement, if they see what happens during the Hour of Code and how excited kids get and how much fun it is and how everybody's smiling and having fun and learning all at the same time, that'll be very, very powerful later on. So I would definitely do all you can to get either parents, administrators, or other teachers involved. And you're going to need a couple extra hands too with that many devices around. I'm sure most of you know that. So if you're planning to have an Hour of Code event, try and get parents and administrators and other teachers to come. It'll be a lot of fun.
So one thing I wanted to add, going back to the,
Sure.
the technology and the problems that might arise, make sure that you set up Kodable, added the class codes before the day of, because a lot of times we find teachers will add the class code the day of and realize they forgot their class code, and then they've got to go sign in and they've got to find it. And the best way to do it, if you're using Kodable on an iOS app or as an Android app or on the web, figure out where your class codes are, enter them in, bookmark those URLs, download the classes on the iPad, and then all you have to do, we've taken a lot of pains to make it as easy as possible to sign in for kids, especially young kids. It's, I think, 2 or 3 taps to get a kindergartner into Kodable and actually playing. You just need to make sure that the setup has been done beforehand, because if you're trying to get 30 kindergartners to enter in class codes the day of, I'm sure you know it's a little stressful.
That's true. Yeah, definitely. But you do have the freedom to make the class code anything you want. So if you make it something that's really easy, like their room number or the name of their school, then it's pretty easy to get them signed in. But yeah, with kindergartners, I would set it up ahead of time. All right, I don't see any questions on Twitter. Anybody on? No? All right, great. So the next thing that I wanted to go over is during the lesson. So a lot of people asked about whether or not to just give the kids devices and just let them go. And I think it's a common misconception that because you're programming, you have to have a device in your hand. You have to have technology, which makes sense, right? We program on computers, but I think it's really important, and our curriculum is set up this way. I think over half of it is off screen, because it's really important to go over a concept and make sure that the kids are understanding it a little bit ahead of time. Just talk a little bit about what the talk a little bit about the vocabulary, talk about what a programmer is, talk about why we need to program, what is this concept that we're actually learning, and we include all of that in the lesson plan. So do a little bit of instruction ahead of time so that they know what they're doing and why it's relevant. It's fun, they're obviously all gonna have a lot of fun. But it is important to make sure that they make the connection with what they're having fun with and what they're learning. So yes, I would plan to do a little bit of instruction with them. A few people asked about switching classes. So if you have lots of classes coming back and forth or in and out really quickly, make sure to have kids log out. In the iPad app, we have a lot of log out buttons on the pause screen, on the main screen, or if you just double tap and then swipe up on the home button, that'll log out students. So if you can have them all do that before they switch, like 5 minutes before it's time to switch, just tell them all to log out. And that'll give you, once everyone's done, if you have a little bit of extra time, you can ask some questions about what they learned. And that way, when the next group of kids come in, everyone's logged out and they can just sign in on their profile or to create a new one, however you're doing it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for preparation and during the event. And then I wanted to go over what happens after the hour of code. Why are we doing this? What should I expect after this huge event is over? Well, I think that a lot of people use the hour of code as an opportunity to experiment and decide whether programming is something that they want to do more of at their school. So you're not alone. Just about everybody who uses Kodable found out about it during the hour of code and have been using it ever since. So we've set it up to be pretty easy to continue on with it. If you do set up classes, like I said, that's the easiest thing to do if you're planning to go on afterward. You can view all of our free lesson plans from your teacher dashboard. I'll go ahead and show you that really quickly, how to find that. So if you go to dashboard.kodable.com, you can log in. This is where you log in to create your classes and everything. This is what it looks like to create a new class. It's very simple. But after the hour of code, you can actually go and view all of your students' progress. You can see what your students completed. Well, this class doesn't have any progress. You can see what concepts your students were learning, who's in progress and who hasn't completed anything. You can learn a lot about where students are and what you might need to go over a little bit. And then if you want to, you can actually go and view our curriculum and set it up and go a little bit more in depth. So we have 3 units for sequence, 4 units for condition, so it's a pretty hefty thing to get into. So go ahead, take a look at it, and decide if it's something that you want to go a little bit further with. A lot of this stuff is free, so sequence conditions are both free, and then strings, which is part of our 3rd grade curriculum, is free as well. So all of this, our curriculum goes K to 5. So if it's something that your school is considering, then you can browse through all of this stuff for free and get an idea if it's right for you. So the hour of code is a great way to get started with that. Yeah, so, and then like I said, if you're planning to go beyond an hour of code with programming or with Kodable, then having an administrator or a parent or another teacher come with you to the first initial event, the hour of code. Having them come and see all of this will really be powerful in making the extra effort to integrate it into your curriculum and to make time for it, and you'll just have an ally, somebody who has seen the power of what you're trying to do, and who can be your teammate in making sure that it all happens and and can do what it takes to make it happen at your school. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Got another question in there.
Oh, sure.
Had one. Someone was asking if you needed to create your class through the app or if it's done on the website. There it is.
That is done through the website.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes it really easy to copy and paste and stuff. You can't really do that very easily. Multitasking is not simple on the iPad. So yes, you have to create it on the website, Kodable.com, and it can show you where you get signed up. You just go to Kodable.com and click Get Started. You sign up as a parent or a teacher. That's all it takes. It's really simple to get signed in and get started. So, and then once you have set up your account, that's all you really need to do on the website. You can view the curriculum materials and stuff, and you can track student progress, but all of the actual, what the students do, that's done through the web version, game.kodable.com, or through the iPad app. And that's sort of their window into Kodable, but there's so much more. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, so that's just about everything. Does anybody else have questions? We'll leave it open for like a couple more minutes to see if there's any questions that I didn't answer.
Do 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 do.
Refrans Davis said, well played, Kodable, going web-based and downloadable for Hour of Code. Thank you, thank you. John, take a bow. There's a lot of work involved in getting those things out there, so we appreciate it. I did want to go over playlists while we're waiting for questions to come in, just really quickly. You can actually set up playlists if you have an account with Kodable. You can set up a playlist that lets you stop students at a certain point. So if you're planning on going further later on, they will fly through stuff. Kids love games. They'll just keep going, and they'll go and download it at home. And then if you were planning lessons, you're like, oh, I have nothing left. They've already done it all. Well, you want to make sure that you're doing lessons with them so that they're actually understanding a lot of this stuff and making the connections from the concepts in the game into programming. And so if you're planning on doing that, it's nice to set up a playlist and you can set a stopping point for your students. It's really simple. I'll go ahead and show you how to do that real quick. Let's see. So I'm just going to go to playlists, and you can see I've got my default. This is what everybody has when they first sign up for Kodable. It's just with everything open. And I've created some new ones. You can create a new one and just use the default as a template. But then once you click on it, you can see all of the lessons in Kodable. So this is all of everything, all of the different units. So right now I've got conditions, fuzzy fiesta hidden for my students. So this does not appear on their devices at all. I wanted them to skip it. I didn't want them to do it. So I hid it from them. If I wanted to stop them, so what I would suggest for the hour of code is stopping students before they get to conditions, because you want to go over conditions if you can. I would stop them here. And I'm going to stop them at the end of debugging sequence. And then so they'll be able to get through all 15 of these levels, and then they'll be stopped. And they'll get a notification saying that they've been stopped. And then that gives you the opportunity to go over things a little bit more. So that's a playlist. If you wanted to, you could set up one for the hour of code, call it the hour of code. You can make as many as you want. There's no limit. Oh, and I did want to tell you, there's no limit on classes or students either anymore for free plans. The only thing that you're limited to is what curriculum and lessons you have access to. So if you have a large school that's wanting to use it, you can go ahead and add them all. Okay, so Valerie asked if we could go through the app and just show you how it works really quickly. That's a great suggestion. I can't believe I didn't think about doing that. So we'll do that really quickly. All right. So I'm going to enter my class code. Katniss is my favorite, so I'm going to play as Katniss. She's a really good programmer. All right, and I'm going to take you all to the very first lesson so that you can see it. So here we've got sequence. Oh, and actually I'll show you. So you know how I stopped my students after sequence at the end of it? You can see conditions is actually, your teacher has locked this. So now they can see it, but they just can't get to it. So we'll start at the very first level. So we want our fuzz. So fuzzes are furry aliens who were exploring space and their UFO crashed on this planet called Smeeborg, and Smeeborg is covered with mazes. And so your students have to program these fuzzes to go through the mazes because fuzzes love to explore. They're very, very curious. So you just drag and drop the commands. So first we're going to go forward, and we're going to go down, and then we're going to go right.
When you think you have the correct code, press the play button to test it.
And then you press play. And so your character will roll until they hit a wall. All right. So it gets pretty advanced pretty quickly, especially for kindergartners, but we've added a lot of extra sequence. So this concept right here is sequence, basically just putting things in order to perform an action. So we want to get to the end of this maze. That's the action that we want to perform. So we're going to go right, up, right, up, right, up. And this would be our program. So this is our code. And with older students, you can get into things like conditions, loops, functions. We do that. We have that included in our lesson plans. You talk about it a little bit. Loops and functions are part of the paid portion of Kodable, though, so they won't be able to practice it in the game, but they can practice conditions if they want to. So that's a little bit about the game. I'm gonna exit out of this. Okay, there we go. All right, hope that covers it. If there's more that you want to see, let me know. We covered this one. Joni asked about, do we need to do it on the app or on the website for creating a class? It's the website, so that's good. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions on Twitter. Last chance, if you have questions, type them in. I'm gonna hang out for another minute or so, but I think we just about covered everything. So if you have more questions, feel free to email me or John. Our email address is Gretchen or John, our name, @kodable.com. Or you can tweet at us @Kodable. We're happy to answer any questions. We're pretty quick to respond most of the time, so if you need anything, feel free to ask us as you're getting prepared. So thank you, everybody. We really enjoyed I enjoyed this. I always enjoy talking about programming. And I hope you all have a wonderful hour of code. Enjoy it, have fun, learn lots. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.